From the Single Malt Whisky Club here, and September sees us launch the world premiere of a barrel swap program between two of world whisky's heavyweights. We are super proud to announce the Milk and Honey Westwood Cask Finish, the first in a new series of collaborations between Israel's Milk and Honey and Westwood Whisky from the good old US of A. Both M&H and Westwood are no strangers to international gold medals. Amongst their other accolades, M&H won the World Whisky Awards Whisky of the Year last year with their Element Sherry cask. And of course, I can't mention that without a small boast about the cask strength version they bottled just for the Single Malt Whisky Club. And Westwood's family of whiskies have earned high praise around the world as well, including double gold or gold medals for all their flagship whiskies from the San Francisco World Spirits Competition and the distinction as the number 5 whiskey in the world from Whisky Advocate in 2022. So, 2 years ago, Westwood and Milk and Honey were running neighbouring stands at Whisky Live in Paris. As these things tend to go, many drams of whiskies were shared between the two stands over the 2 days. And as often happens when multiple drams of whiskey are shared, a firm friendship was made over the weekend in Gay Paddy. So, after so many drams of each other's whiskey, it was decided that the friendship should be made official between the two distilleries, and as such, a cask swapping program was planned and implemented. And thanks to the Single Malt Whisky Club's friendship with Milk and Honey, this month's whiskey is the very first to come of age under this cask swapping program, and it's available exclusively to the not-so-little whisky club you're a member of. So this bottle is the very first result of this solid friendship and exciting new cask swapping program. It's been initially matured for 3 years in a reused American oak cask, then transferred into a fresh Westwood whiskey cask. It was then rolled outside into the hot Tel Aviv sun, tipped on its end, and then left completely alone for 9 months to draw what it could from the cask. So that's right, the Westwood cask finish is carried out with the barrel tipped on its end and stacked outside in the full desert sun of Tel Aviv. After 9 months of this abuse, it was disgorged and bottled at a hearty 57% ABV. Not quite cask strength. As we can see, the colour nice and bright and gold. On the nose, oh, look, there's lots of candied pineapple, there's apricot jam, mixed peel. I even get dry Milo somewhere in there. There's also a just open packet of cigarettes, sweet tobacco aroma curling its way around in the background. You'll see that's one of the commonalities it shares with the Westwood cask. We think that's where it's come from. So on the palate, it's just super creamy mouthfeel. An initial white pepper burst, but then big sultana sweetness, which morphs into citrus and vanilla. And there's also a lovely well done short crust pastry note there too. It's like malto milk bickies, I reckon, from your childhood. And the finish, yeah, I'm still going. A long-lasting kaleidoscope of sweet and sour and crunchy green apples, sultanas, fresh squeezed citrus peel, and more of those malty pastry type notes. Man, this is a super easy dramming whiskey that is just as well behaved on the palate as it is bursting with all those American oak notes we love so much. Super creamy, big citrus flavours, and more vanilla than an M-rated sex scene, alongside those delicious jammy bursts, make this a simply stunning whiskey. That 57% ABV is just so well integrated. You best you remind yourself you're drinking some seriously grown-up whiskey here. because your palate simply won't notice how strong this is. It's just so easy to drink, and yeah, you know where this is going. Yum. So, with our Milk and Honey Westwood collaboration as the malt of the month, we thought it was a perfect opportunity to introduce Westwood single malt whiskey to our members. We don't know a better way to get to the heart of a distillery's product than to try a cask strength bottling, which is exactly what we've done. Welcome to the Westwood Cask Strength, our members extra for September. Now, Westwood are a relatively small affair in the land of the supersize me, but this 20-year-old distillery does have, though, is more than 50 years of distilling experience shared between the members of their whiskey making team. They've got former brewers, Michelin-trained chefs, and former winemakers all working together, and whose passion and knowledge combine to push the boundaries of traditional whiskey making. Westwood have three main tenets to their whiskey. This whiskey, and all Westwood whiskies, and that's whiskies with an E, by the way, is brewed like a craft ale. So they begin by brewing an artisanal style American ale from scratch using locally malted barley, ale yeast, and a low temperature fermentation. It's then distilled like a single malt. Westwood double distill in custom low reflux pot stills designed to create a robust spirit, transforming their fresh, flavourful ale into whiskey. And then it's aged like a bourbon, matured to perfection in new, heavily toasted, lightly charred virgin American oak barrels, selected to accentuate the bold characteristics of the whiskey. So there you go. So how does this American beauty taste? And first of all, I just want to shout out to the bottle design. It's a beautiful bottle. I'm not massive on, packaging and stuff, but that is a nice and unusual bottle. And the colour. A lot darker than the Milk and Honey. Nose is a musty petrichor, sort of a wet earthy note. Sits over the top of more of the same jammy notes that the Milk and Honey had on its nose, actually. It's a real meeting of earth and fruit. Just a slight suggestion of smoke there. Oh, yum. On the palate, there's a lovely slippery mouthfeel, but what's immediately and astoundingly apparent is the incredible integration of the alcohol here. Like, I hate this word, but man, this is the epitome of smooth. This is 62.5%. There's fruit flavours here for sure, but for me, sweet, unburnt tobacco is a major player in this whiskey's flavour profile. I was lucky enough to be offered a Monte Cristo cigar at a party a few weeks back, thank you, Daniel-san. And this tastes like that cigar smelled as you crack the tube. But with a real Demerara sugar sweetness sitting over the top. It's deep, it's rich, it is immensely satisfying. The finish? Look, I'm completely in love with this earthy, leafy finish this whiskey presents. It's big and chewy. In fact, it's one of the chewiest non-peated whiskies I've had recently, and there's almost savoury umaminess, contrary but somehow complementary to those sweet tobacco flavours. This is a superbly rich and complex whiskey for sure. The unburnt tobacco notes that present all throughout this whiskey really bolster its huge and satisfying flavour profile. But it does so without making it formidable on the palate. There's just no harshness at all in this 62.5% whopper of a whiskey. So, September, and what a pair of whiskies. The very first collaboration between Milk and Honey and Westwood, with your Single Malt Whiskey Club the exclusive beneficiary to this first release. The Milk and Honey Westwood Cask and our Members Extra, the Westwood Cask Strength. An absolutely fascinating pair of whiskies that you can really appreciate the pedigree of the Milk and Honey release with the juice from the finishing cask to compare it to. And of course, yours truly is in it for the comparison, so I'm getting both. Now that's a surprise. Until next month, I'm Brad Wright. Slange of Art.